Hi everyone, welcome to this week's episode of No Such Thing as a Fish, where we were joined by one of our idols. It is American author Mary Roach. I think Mary really is one of us. She loves going around, looking for facts, and then putting them in her amazing books. Her books include things like Stiff, which is all about what happens to us after we die. Bonk, which is about, well, you can imagine, about sex. Gulp, which is about swallowing and eating. Grunt, which is about humans at war. Fuzz, which is about humans and animals in legal conflicts with each other. And The Incredible Packing for Mars, which is all about space. Honestly, her books are so good. She tells such a good story, and she finds all the incredible, fascinating facts about all these subjects. And she has a new book out. Her new book is called Replaceable You, Adventures in Human Anatomy, and it is all about how we can replace different parts of our body thanks to the wonders of technology. It's full of facts. I know you'll love it. If you want to know more about Mary, then go to maryroach.net, and all the details of how to buy her books are there, and I highly recommend you do it. I am literally looking at my bookcase right now in my house, and I can see 4 of her books on there. It's no exaggeration to say we love her stuff. Anyway, one more tiny little bit of news for you. As you will know by now, we have been going on Patreon quite recently, and you can go on there and sign up for a whole load of different tiers and get loads of good stuff. But you could also sign up for free, and you will be able to get a little bit of free stuff. And one of those things that is available for everyone now is a newsletter. So we have decided, for a limited time perhaps, depending on how the workload goes, to put out a newsletter all about the things that are happening behind the scenes on No Such Thing as a Fish. There's little silly quizzes in there. There's facts about things in the news. There's all sorts of stuff. We're giving it a try. We don't know whether it will work or not. Let us know if you've read it and if you like it. And the way to find that and all of our Patreon stuff is to go to patreon.com/clubfish. Anyway, I know you're all desperate to hear what Mary Roach has to say on this week's podcast, so with no further ado, on with the podcast.
Hello and welcome to another episode of No Such Thing as a Fish, a weekly podcast coming to you from 4 undisclosed locations around the world. My name is Dan Schreiber. I am sitting here with James Harkin, Andrew Hunter Murray, and Mary Roach. And once again, we have gathered around the microphones with our 4 favorite facts from the last 7 days. And in no particular order, here we go. Starting with fact number 1, and that is Mary.
Here we go. At the early blood banks, we're talking around 1915 or so, the staff sat hidden behind a wall with holes cut every few feet. Donors would come in, sit down, stick their arm through a hole, and thereby be spared the sight of needles and blood.
Wow.
Do you guys in the UK have the term glory hole?
Oh, gosh. You know what? My brain did not go there.
That was quick.
See, my brain went there.
I don't know, Mary. I'm just going to put that on the record.
Yeah, I mean, we do have them in the UK. We don't have them in NHS facilities necessarily, but
yeah. Anyway, blood bank, glory holes. That's what came to mind. But anyway, that's my fact. That's my fact.
Were people very scared of needles in a way they're not now? Because I think unless you have a specific fear of needles now, most people are more all right with it.
Well, it's because it was new. It was like in the teens when they discovered anticoagulants, so they could actually store blood and have a blood bank. Before then, there really wasn't any need to have large numbers of the public donating blood.
Yeah.
So, and there was some resistance. It was new, kind of weird, like, ooh, where's it going to go? And how you, and it's red and it's me. I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah. I don't know if you guys have it, but I really don't like needles at all.
Oh.
There is something about, I will do it. Like, obviously, when you have your injections and stuff like that, I will do it. But I have to look away when I do it. I can't look at it going in. And it's not that I don't like the pain or I don't like, it's just there's something about it being so thin going into my skin that it really gives me the heebie-jeebies.
But
So
James,
you'd rather something big wide going in.
I feel like it. We're not still on glory holes, are we? No.
But James, are you then saying that sticking your arm through a hole where you can't even see what's going on and feeling the pain is less terrifying?
It is that, because when I had my COVID jabs, for instance, I would look away and say, I don't like needles very much, so just, tell me when it's done, kind of thing.
But see, I'm with you, Dan. I think it would be far more terrifying just to have your arm over there and not know who's there, what are they doing, how big is the needle, what does my blood look like? Blah.
Yeah.
Like the unknown would be the scary part for me.
Interesting.
Well, I have a good theory about why this might be. So one of the earliest blood banks that could store blood, it was a bit after the one you're talking about, Mary. This is in 1937. It's also in America, and there was a scientist called Bernard Fantus, and he and his colleagues opened a blood bank which could keep blood viable for about 10 days. So that was really useful because obviously, unless you have someone who needs a transfusion and a donor in the same place, that's not very helpful. So Fantus was from where originally? Budapest. And where was Vlad the Impaler, inspiration for Dracula, also from and imprisoned for a long time? Budapest. So...
Was he?
Yeah.
Was he not Romanian, Vlad the Impaler?
Okay. He travelled around a bit. He was definitely in Budapest for a long... He spent a lot of time in prison in Budapest. All right?
I've been to his house and I'm sure it's in Romania.
Yes, he probably had multiple properties. He was a very successful intergalactic vampire.
He was,
Very rich.
as far as impalers goes, he was one of the best.
Absolutely.
But the thing is, the interesting thing is when he impaled people, he did it through a huge hole.
It's just nicer that way, isn't it? Yeah.
Fantus, he had the idea because he'd seen something similar happening in Russia. And he got the money when he saved a woman's life. And the husband of this woman said, I'll do anything, whatever you want, I'll let you have it. And he said, okay, I need a ton of money for a blood bank. And the guy went,
Wow.
How much? And apparently it was a little bit too much. And so this guy had to go and get some other donors. But it was from that moment that this started. Is that right, Mary?
Yeah, Moscow, around that time, they had this clinic, and I'm not going to attempt to pronounce it because it's Russian-y, but it was a cadaver blood clinic. So all of the accidents, all the emergency, trauma, etc., deaths, sudden deaths, etc., they were all brought to this one central location in Moscow, and they would kind of put the cadaver on a tilt table and drain the blood. And weirdly, and this was carried on by Jack Kevorkian in the U.S. and some other people in the U.S. saying, like, why are we wasting this? This is perfectly good blood. And it did. The weird thing is if somebody had died suddenly, the blood wouldn't coagulate in the same way. It was actually more useful blood. And I didn't include this in my book. I'm like, really? Do we know that? Did anybody look into that whole violent death means the blood keeps longer? But anyway, there are all these papers on it, and cadavers were drained.
And there was a lot of people dying suddenly in the 1920s in Russia as well.
Over in America, there was another interesting frontline character, which was Charles Drew. Amazing character. Drew a lot of blood himself over his lifetime because he came up with large-scale blood banks in World War II, but he was also African-American, and this really limited him from quite a lot of access to medical places in the States.
Yeah. And what I read about Drew, and I don't know, this may be apocryphal, but what I read was that at the end of his life, he actually needed blood. But at that time, if you were black, you couldn't get white blood. There was this, segregation in blood transfusion.
Fortunately, that wasn't the case. Specifically with him, it was the case that is how blood transfusions were working in America at the time.
Yeah.
But he was really mangled up in a car crash, and unfortunately, nothing would have saved him. A few people have written that even actually a blood transfusion might have killed him quicker as a result of the injuries he sustained. But he retired
But it made a nice story.
Yes, exactly. Which
I was perpetuating for you.
That's my job on this show, Mary. You stay away from dubious facts. He was a director of the American Red Cross, and he retired because of this exact racial segregation.
I think he resigned, didn't he?
He resigned, yeah. And they changed that in 1950. Yeah, he died in 1950, and that's also the year that they lost that policy.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Dan, speaking of your theories,
Yep.
Do you remember?
Yes, Budapest. Talk to me.
Okay. Do you remember telling us what happens with carbonated water in transit?
It's not my personal theory, but I have been perpetuating it. Absolutely, Mary. There's an idea that sparkling water, when it's being transferred in large container ships across from country to country, that the bubbles are removed from the water so as to not lose the fizz in transit. And then at the other port, when it's reached its destination, the same bubbles are replaced into the water itself.
Wait, where do they store this? They store the bubbles?
Well, the bubbles
bubbles
have to go on they fly, obviously, because they're a lot lighter to transport.
Yes. Yeah.
Is there a reason you bring this up, Andy?
Yeah,
or-
To bully Dan, which is reason enough in itself. But I didn't realise there is sort of a slight analogy in what happens when you donate blood. So I just had no idea what happened when you donate blood. I haven't done it before. I think I might do it off the back of this. It sounds like it's a very, very worthwhile thing to do. But when you donate it, it's immediately split up into separate components. So they put it in a centrifuge and spin it. And, in a centrifuge, it spins incredibly fast and different components spin out to different sort of areas in the centrifuge. And so it's red blood cells, plasma and platelets, I think, are the three things that are useful. So one donation of your blood can end up in three separate people. So it's a bit like the taking the bubbles out thing. I just thought that was quite interesting.
Yeah.
It's kind of nothing like it.
Well, that's an analogy. Some see it, some don't, Mary.
But nice segue anyway.
We should move on in a second. I want to give a quick shout out to one of the great blood donors of our age, someone who has donated 23 gallons of blood since the 1960s. So on average, a person's body contains about 1.5 gallons. So she's done amazing work. Her son's continued her work. But yeah, Lillian Bloodworth, big shout out to her.
Brilliant.
Amazing.
She was born to do it. Actually, do you know what's interesting? There are two people on this call who would have been quite useless blood donors had they been in America or Australia. Who would that be?
Well, I noticed you and I are wearing glasses, so that's one thing that if we were playing Guess Who, that's how we would split it into 50-50.
Well, you know what? I couldn't give blood from the 80s through about 3 years ago because I spent time in the UK
Here we go.
the 80s when mad cow was a thing. Wow. And so the blood bank people are like, we're still very, very concerned about you. You may have eaten a hamburger.
It's exactly that, Mary. It was really for people who lived here. I didn't know it extended to even if you visited. But if you had lived in the UK between 1980 and 1996, you could not give blood in places like America or Australia because you might have mad cow disease sitting in your blood somehow, and it would get into the country. Yeah, it was until 2022 you couldn't give blood.
I've got one last thing on shoving your arm in a hole.
Oh, yes, please.
Okay.
And how it can be life-saving. Okay, so this is an American story, Mary, and you might have come across it because you've written a book about animals and the law. So
That's right.
In 2015, there was a hunter in Montana called Chase Del Woe, amazing name. He was out hunting with a bow and arrow. So being quite sporting, I would say, hoping to hunt some elk. And he suddenly noticed he was 1 meter from a bear, and a really big bear. It bit his head, it had tossed him in the air, and it then bit his leg, and it was coming at him again. What did he do?
He put his hand in the only hole he could see.
That's right. He did.
Is it really? Oh, no, Andy.
He said, I remember, this is an amazing quote. He said, I remembered an article that my grandmother gave me a long time ago, which is amazing presence of mind in the situation. But the article said, big animals often have really bad gag reflexes. And he said, so I shoved my right arm down his throat and it worked.
Oh,
and
that hole.
That hole. Come on, guys. Grow up. He didn't do the sooty show live on air. He shoved his arm down the bear, not up it, and it worked. The bear left.
Okay, it is time for fact number 2, and that is James.
Okay, my fact this week is that moss can solve crimes, but it's woefully underappreciated.
Okay,
Cool.
Hear me out.
Moss cop.
Moss cop. He's slow, but he's dedicated. He'll get you eventually.
All you have to do is hide on the north side of a tree and he can't get you. So this is a story I saw in Nautilus Online magazine about a study in forensic sciences research by Matt von Kanrat et al. From the Botanical Collections at Field Museum in Chicago. And the first sentence is forensic botany, particularly bryophyte analysis, so that's analysing moss, is potentially important but underutilised tool in criminal investigations. And then they go on to all the times that this has happened that they could find in history where moss has been used to solve crimes. Basically, they came up with about 10, but they reckon that we should be utilising this more.
Yes.
Is for rural
Yeah.
crimes, I guess.
I've got moss all of the walls as I walk my daughter to nursery. There's moss on all of them, which is quite
Okay, good
annoying
shout.
because she's really into moss right now.
Is
So
she?
it takes about an hour and a half to get to nursery in the morning because she keeps looking at all the
God.
moss.
I love it.
I haven't done a paternity test, Andy, to check that she isn't yours.
Don't do it.
But yeah, you're right. So basically, you find a body and how long the moss has taken to grow on it. That might tell you about when the person died. And also, moss will be different if it grows in different areas. And so you can, let's say they found some moss on my trainers and I said I was nowhere near the crime. And they say, well, what do you call this? So that can do it as well.
Those forensic botany people, they don't get the love that they should. I was at a forensics conference about 2 weeks ago, where all the all the grad students, everybody have their posters up. It's row after row of posters, and forensics conference posters are pretty out there. There's like the death by taxidermy elk head. That was one. The elk head killed someone. Homicide by hot dog was another poster. Yeah, these are posters. These are published research papers. And so there's always a lot of activity around the ones with the really lurid photographs. And but then you keep walking and they'll be like the person who looks at pollen and it's really important. He's just standing there waiting for somebody to.
It's a shame because it is incredibly important. There's an amazing forensic ecologist, she calls herself here, in the UK, called Professor Patricia Wiltshire. She's also known as the Snot Lady. And she's known as the Snot Lady because she spends her time on crime scenes largely going into nasal cavities and getting the pollen grains out of it. So she's been doing this, for 40 years. She's been brought in to solve many crimes. If a car was thought to have been in an area, but they couldn't prove it, she'll be brought in to look for remnants of pollen on the wheels or inside of the car. In fact, her very first case, it was an interesting study where they needed to see if a car had gone through this field. And she did all the studying of all the areas pollen. So when she arrived on the scene, they said, let us show you where it happened. And she said, no, let me show you where I think it happened. And she found a particular grassy area, hedgy area, and she went, it would have happened there based on what I found. They said, that's exactly where it happened. And then
Because there are huge tire tracks. There are huge tire tracks going through the field.
The big hole in the hedge shaped like a car, you think?
And there's some chalk outlines of people's bodies right next to it.
That's incredible. That's incredible.
Somebody at this conference told me that the FBI here in the States has a classified pollen map. So they've got a map of like what pollen is where, specifically for forensics.
That's
forensic
cool.
botany.
One other thing about moss and why that's so important is because in an area, they might all have the same kind of grass. Let's say the murder happens on a golf course. Your golf course might have the same kind of grass all the way around it, but moss can find little micro niches to kind of go. And the moss that's on the second hole might be different than the moss on the third hole, and the moss on the fourth hole, it might be slightly different. And also you get like even smaller animals that live inside like mossy areas. So that's an extra bit of data that you can get from it.
This is a really low rent golf course. If you've got moss, have you ever seen the grass on a golf course? See, Mar-a-Lago, there's no moss growing on there.
Can I just say, the fourth hole is an incredible name for a murder mystery set on a golf course.
Or a blood bank.
Yes.
Or a request from a bear. Go for the fourth hole.
Oh my God. Speaking of cold cases, maybe the coldest case of all, that of Ötzi the Iceman,
Oh, yes.
has a moss link. So he is a friend of the podcast. I think we agree.
Absolutely.
5,300 years old and dead. And he was found up in the in the Alps, I believe.
Yeah.
Certainly up
it
a
was.
mountain in Europe. And anyway, he has 75 species of moss around him. I don't mean sort of on him. He wasn't collecting it, but it does tell you, for example, where he was coming from, because there are mosses from lower down in the valley. So we can retrace his steps based on the mosses that are in his gut or on his clothes or whatever it might be. So that's cool.
That is
And
cool.
speaking of his steps, there was one of those anthropologists that likes to kind of live the anthropology. This guy who is an expert in Paleolithic, if that's the right era, footwear. And he actually made a pair of they were kind of Birkenstock-like, the shoes.
So
He made some
embarrassing.
Ötzi footwear. I don't remember exactly why, but anyway, he recreated Ötzi's unattractive footwear.
It's a shame they weren't Uggs, because that was probably what he would say a lot of the time. Anyway,
That's where that came from.
Yep.
Name of, yep.
the Swedish military
Oh, yeah.
has a collection of air, and it's really useful. So they have bottles dating back to the 1960s, all samples of air, right? And that was because they were trying to monitor fallout from nuclear weapons and see if that was affecting the environment, because obviously it was a time of a lot of nuclear testing. But these air samples have had a weird second life because they're incredibly useful for sampling other things about the world. One of the things is they contain moss spores. And these are microscopically small, but obviously if you take a sample of air, it's going to have all sorts of other junk in it that you weren't intending to collect. And they have studied all this microscopic material found there. And what they have realized is moss spores, in Sweden specifically, are being released 4 weeks earlier than they were in 1990. So it's one of the indices for changing climate is because the autumns are warmer, so mosses develop their capsules more and they release them earlier the next year. So that's another way that you can study things using something you had no intention of studying at the time you started.
That's
I just
really
love that stuff.
interesting. I've been to a water museum in Iceland. I dragged my wife on quite a long detour to go to this water museum. And it was just like a load of pipes with water in it, but it's water from all different parts of Iceland. I think it was quite disappointing when we got there, but I think the idea is...
Really?
Doesn't sound it.
I built it up all day as well on the whole drive, saying this is going to be great.
My husband, I was doing a talk in Alaska in Skagway, and my husband's like, what am I going to do? There's not really a lot going on here in Skagway. And I said, oh, but if you take this boat, there's this island and there's a hammer museum and you like to build things. It's a hammer museum. He's like, yes, it's a hammer museum. And he comes back. I'm like, how was it? He goes, there's a lot of hammers.
It was banging. And you also get like wood museums. They're not museums, they're like a wood library. And if you look at it, it's like almost like it's like a library, but all the books have been turned around because all you can see is like bits of wood. But actually, again, it's used by people to find out where things came from, and it can solve crimes. Is that right?
Yeah. There's a great forensics resource up at the National Wildlife Forensics Lab, and it's up in Oregon, and it's a hair library.
Oh.
Well, it's to see, okay, if you have this that's been smuggled, is it from an endangered species? Is it a crime we can prosecute? So they have to be able to identify it. So they have, and each animal will have like the under hair and the coarse hair and the face. Then the whiskers. There's a lot of different material.
I was wondering if you'd had a hair transplant, whether you would be able to commit a crime and get away with it. But then I realized that I've had a hair transplant and they just take your own hair and put it somewhere else.
Yes.
So,
They arrest your ass instead of your head. It's brilliant.
they didn't take the hair from my ass, Andy.
Well,
But you can. You can take hair from you can take pubic hair and put it on your eyebrow. And this has all been done. You can take chest hair, put it up there. You can also take head hair for pubic baldness, which is a thing. But they warn you, you will have to trim it. because it will retain the characteristics of its homeland. Right. So you take it from a head and you put it down there, and it's going to grow to like 6, 7, 8 inches.
Luckily, my hair is quite pubic in style anyway. So
Yeah.
That was the one downside that was reported in this paper. When you take chest hair or pubic hair and you transfer it to the head, because maybe you've run out of hair on the backs of the head, you can take the pubic hair, say, but it's, and this is a quote, difficult to style.
Yeah.
I've got a question for you, Mary. You might not, in fairness, I can't expect you to be able to answer this, but the lice that you get on your hair are a different species completely to the lice that you get on your pubic hair, I believe, as I understand it. So if you were to transplant pubic hair onto your head, which lice would live there?
God, why didn't I think of that?
Wow.
Oh my God. Yeah, you're right. That's a great question. Do pubic lice survive? Because
It's got to be. It's not an altitude thing. It's a hair thing, isn't it?
It's a hair thing.
Is it?
I've heard lice prefer straight hair to curly hair.
Right.
But
To kinky hair.
But you're growing your curly hair up there now, and you're mixing it in with you would have 2 species of lice.
You'd have to,
hanging
yes,
out
and
for
they
the first
probably
time.
breed, and then you'd have these weird hybrid lice that nobody could kill, and it would be this epidemic.
That is the start of a John Wyndham novel waiting to be written, isn't it?
Okay, it is time for fact number 3, and that is my fact. My fact this week is that the first recipient of breast implants had to have them removed after she chewed through the stitches. So, this is performed by a man called Dr. Biggs, Thomas Biggs, and it wasn't a human, it was a dog named Esmeralda.
Whoa, because I have a different competing first breast implant story, which was on a dog, but this was Thomas Cronin in 1961.
So actually they were working together. Cronin was the main guy, but Biggs he sort of looked after the recovery of
Biggs.
the dog.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
All right,
Biggs
so it's
did
the same
physical-
story.
Yes, exactly. So,
But when Dan's doing the headline and he sees the word Biggs, understandably, that's the name you go for.
Dr. Biggs was part of a team of doctors who had come up with this new idea for how they could have silicone implants done for breast enhancement. And so what they did was they put the implant under the skin of the dog, Esmeralda, and she eventually chewed at these stitches. They had to be taken out. However, the other doctors thought this was a complete success. They said that the implants were as harmless as water, and so they started looking into finding humans.
One interesting thing I found when I was reading about this surgery is that the implant that they put inside the dog was described as biscuit-sized. And I think no wonder it's biting at the stitches and trying to get at it. Don't make it the shape of a dog biscuit, for God's sake.
You know what? This implant that they came up with, the Silastic Natural Feel breast prosthesis, it was originally available in small, medium, and large, and there were 2 sizes that they quickly discontinued: mini and petite. There was no market for
Really?
mini
Yeah.
and petite.
I think
breast
that's
implants.
still true of penis transplants today. The main one, I think, is called Pneuma, which is a portmanteau of penis, new man. And I read an article from 2023 in Texas Monthly magazine that said that it comes in 5 sizes ranging from large to XXL. So you can't, nobody wants to buy a medium penis transplant.
When you say a transplant, James, do you mean someone who's
Sorry, I
lost
do
theirs?
apologize.
Implant.
Implant, if I said
Oh,
transplant.
implant. Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
There's a similar story about the Apollo astronauts, because the urine collection device was this condom-ended, so it slipped on the penis and with a tube, then there'd be a bag kind of strapped to the leg or whatever. The urine, it was the urine collection assembly, I think it was called. But anyway, originally the astronaut would request small, medium, large, and nobody would request small. And there was a lot of leakage. So then they changed it to medium, large, extra large. That's the story I hear. And
so
there are
funny.
actually, I think, 4 urine collection assembly devices up on the moon. They ditched them.
Really?
And 2 are, there's some small and some large. And I don't know Whose was whose?
I didn't know about the leakage. That's so funny. That what a way of being found out. It's just urine leaking out next to you.
I guess it was too big for the pig.
Oh, it's cold here in space, isn't it? Just jumping back to this story very quickly, because this is the founding of modern breast surgery. So the inventors really were Frank Gerow and Thomas Cronin, and connecting to one of the previous facts, Frank Gerow was squeezing a plastic blood bag. And it was while he was doing that, he said, "Oh, this feels a bit like a woman's breast."
What a
and he
pervert.
Thought, here's the quote. Inspired by the look and feel of a bag of blood. So you can just picture the scene. They're in the OR and he's kind of bored. He's like, does that remind you of something?
So this guy, was he already thinking that this is a problem that needs to be solved? And he was going around feeling everything that he could to see what was most like a pair of breasts?
He was banned from every grocery store in the area. That's an interesting fact that they won't tell you.
He was a squeezer. I don't know the answer. I had a sense of there was this moment of inspiration.
Yeah.
That looks like a breast.
Light bulb moment. Yeah. So they found they found this they needed a human subject after Esmeralda had been a success as Esmeralda's operation, and they approached this woman called Timmy Jean Lindsay. And she had not remotely considered her breast. She wasn't in the market for a breast implant. She had gone into hospital because she had a tattoo of roses across her torso. It was at her ex-boyfriend's suggestion, and she didn't really want it anymore because they'd broken up. She was trying to get the tattoo removed. She had 6 children, but when they approached her and said, "Do you want a breast operation, to enhance your breast or whatever?" She said, "Well, no. I mean, if anything, I'd love to get my ears pinned back." And they said, "Oh, we'll do that. We'll throw that in. That's no problem if you agree to this procedure."
Amazing.
So that's what led to it. I mean, she really wasn't looking for that when she went in at all.
Before there were bags of silicone. I mean, it's great that it was put in a bag because the history of the stuff that's been injected into women's breast. Here's a partial list. Ready? Goat's milk, pig collagen, beeswax, olive oil, paraffin, petroleum jelly, transformer fluid, various glues and polymers, and my favorite, 5-inch slabs of your own buttocks.
Oh.
And then there was just silicone injected loose.
Exactly.
Which came around after the Second World War. And that is really dangerous because it can interact very badly with your body and lead to an awful range of conditions and things like gangrene.
Including the condition of death. Yeah.
Yes, the worst condition. Yeah.
We should say as well, you've just mentioned the Second World War. This happened in the year 1962. And it was sort of off the back of the 50s and particularly the late 50s of how a lot of the actresses at the time, Marilyn Monroe, Jane Russell, there was a lot of cleavage going on. And so while he did have this moment of feeling the blood bag, I think it was in the consciousness of America of a lot of people want this stuff. How can we do this?
Yeah.
But it was dependent on Hitler being defeated, the change of global breast perception. One thing leads directly to, directly, there's a link between one and the other.
Her conditions. I want my ears pinned back. I want Hitler defeated.
Basically, in America in the war, there was metal was not really allowed for civilian use. In industrial terms. I mean, I think America made something like 200 cars during the entire Second World War for civilian. Like every bit of material needed went to the war effort. And after the war, suddenly, metal was available again, and underwire bras were invented, which obviously lift and support and shape. And this changed the perception of women's bodies and what shape they, quote unquote, ought to be in this kind of thing, or what a desirable body looked like. So it's all based on Hitler.
Right.
Wow.
Hey, by the way, you know how this fact connects to the first fact about blood? It also connects to the second fact about forensics, because quite often in very horrific murder scenes, they will have done a job to hide who the person is. Fingerprints will have been removed and so on. And in that case, if they happen to have had breast implants, every modern breast implant has either a serial or the information has been logged that can be traced back via the doctor. So anytime a doctor puts one in now, either it's a serial that comes in the box, they know the patient that it's gone to.
When you say serial that comes in the box, a serial number, right?
No, it's it's one of those toys that you get inside Cocoa Pops these days. That's how they deliver breast implants. You gotta shake it out. Yeah. No, that's so they've all got serial numbers. So quite a few people have been identified via the serial number in the breast implant to identify who they are.
How interesting. I read a paper from 2017. It was a ballistic study, and they hypothesized in this study that in theory, if someone shot you in the breast and you had an implant, that the fluid would be able to sort of move it out of the way. And then in 2020, it actually happened. As in, there's a 2020 study that says, based on the trajectory of a bullet when this lady was shot, as far as they can see, the only way that it failed to kill them is because it hit the implant, which moved it slightly out of the way, which took it away from her heart.
Good Lord.
Wow.
So, yeah.
I have heard that they develop kind of a hard shell around breast implants after a long time. So maybe
Yeah.
Sort of internally.
your body builds a kind of a shell, or like
Really?
it walls it off. Like, this
'Cause
is
it's a
not
foreign
me.
object.
We'll just kind of wall.
Oh,
Yeah,
right,
exactly.
yeah.
You said about them getting hard, which they do, Mary, but they're still not like solid usually most of the time. And that means that breast implants that women use are often not the right thing for men to use if you want a chest implant. So let's say you want to enhance your pectoral muscles. The normal breast implants won't do that. And there was a recent study, actually it's quite old now, it's from 2003, that found that the best thing to do is buttock implants. Because apparently the implants that you get in your bum, they're much more solid, and the fake gluteus is much more similar to a fake pectoral than
Yes.
a silicone bag.
Interesting.
Probably the first one they did was a buttock implant that they stuck it in there, because the first buttock implant was a breast implant that they just stuck down there. Like, maybe this will work down here.
What?
Oh, really?
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
what's next?
It's so interesting because Mary, your new book, Replaceable You, this is the concept of the book. It's taking bits of you and replacing it with something else. And so this fact about the breast implants, that's in there. Quite a lot of stuff we've mentioned. Another thing, just jumping back to the hair transplant, in the 70s, the implants were artificial. The hair was artificial.
Yeah, you could. This was a kind of a budget option. It was kind of essentially like getting doll hair put into your balding areas, and there was this kind of dermatological crochet hook. You just kind of hook it down into the skin and back up, and horrible. There were a lot of infections. I think there was a fatality from this, and of course, your hair, if you start to go gray, now it doesn't match. Difficult to style again, and they had to be sort of spaced far apart, so you actually looked like doll hair.
It feels like the best way to style it would be to get like a 5-year-old girl to do it. Like,
Yes.
Exactly.
You just see all these middle-aged men with plaits and yeah.
Just briefly on the breast implant thing, there's an amazing book on this subject. It's by Florence Williams. It's called Breasts: A Natural and Unnatural History. And she has a whole chapter about the history of implants and all of this. But the reason why humans have breasts at all is sort of bizarre. And I know there are lots of theories, but most animals don't, right? And in fact, even I think most apes don't.
What do you mean by breasts, though? Because like all mammals have mammary glands, at least.
You mean like big bouncy ones? Is that what you're saying?
Well, that's not exactly how I'd put it, but
So you're saying, Andy?
yes.
Big jugs? Is that what you're saying?
I'm not. Oh my god! I was. Oh god. Okay. Well, I think the reason. I'm blushing. I hope you're all happy. Okay.
I think, honestly, this is an audio medium, but I think everyone at home could feel that blush.
Yeah, I'm feeling it now. There's this one theory as to why, and this is in Florence Williams' book, is that women need more fat on them to not only reach puberty but also to grow a baby and to lactate and to feed the baby. And human infants need huge amounts of fat to grow because we are a bipedal species as of quite recently, and for a bipedal creature, the human woman, to give birth, the baby needs to be really small. The baby's head needs to be really small to be birthed successfully. So mothers then have to produce huge amounts of milk to grow them up because they need so long to develop after birth. And that is
because
why...
basically babies are idiots, right? Like babies are born really, it takes them a long time to get to any kind of self-reliance. Whereas like a giraffe's born and then about 20 minutes later it's running around.
Exactly.
Yeah, it basically lands on its feet as it's born and walks away.
But the human baby has to be born relatively useless, which is why the mother needs to do all of that extra milk production, which needs a lot of fat.
And why is this Hitler's fault? I can't remember.
So much is Hitler's fault.
Okay, it is time for our final fact of the show, and that is Andy.
My fact is, there is only one American state with an official state smell.
Wow.
Yeah.
Is it Washington, D.C., and it's the stench of corruption?
Lovely. Lovely. Ring that satire bell. It's New Mexico. Which in 2023 officially signed into law the state smell, and the smell, it sounds gorgeous. It's the smell of green chilies roasting in the fall.
Okay.
And apparently that New Mexico produces, I think it's 60% of the US chili pepper crop, and the chilies are all green to start, and some of them turn red later on, which also prompted the New Mexico official state question, which is red or green. And I just went on a bit of a rabbit hole of reading about New Mexico's state symbols. And other state symbols.
So the chili roasting, the smell of, feels to me like it'd be quite pungent. Like if I put chilies into my food and they're cooking, my eyes are watering, right?
Yes.
And you're choking. It's horrible. Yeah.
Okay.
You don't want to be smelling
Basically pepper spray, which is the...
It is. It's a non-lethal weapon.
Okay.
We don't want to get completely cancelled in New Mexico.
No.
So then what about this question, Andy? So you said that the official question of New Mexico is red or green. What's that
Yes,
mean?
I think it's people ask you, do you want red chili or green chili?
If you're in a restaurant, right?
On the rest of your food. I assume so, yeah.
That's
And
right. So do you know what the state answer is? The official state answer?
No.
Do you, Dan? Have you got it?
I do. It came out 2 years later, didn't it?
Yeah. The official state answer to the official state question is red and green or Christmas.
Yeah. And I forgot to Google the plot twist at the end of that state answer.
Well, I can tell
Christmas.
you, Christmas, basically in New Mexico, if someone says to you in the restaurant, red or green, and you say Christmas, then that means a bit of red and a bit of green, because that's like Christmas decorations.
Really nice.
Yeah, right.
So it's like having
interesting.
ketchup and HP sauce together. It's like...
Yeah.
That's great.
New Mexico also has a state song. And a lot of the states have their own state song. And so there's two in New Mexico. There's an English language one, a Spanish language one. The English language one is called O Fair New Mexico. And it was written by Elizabeth Garrett, the daughter of Pat Garrett, who killed Billy the Kid. Is that wild?
I mean,
what a connection.
Okay.
Well, she died in 1947 in New Mexico in Roswell. 1947, ring any bells? Only the same year that supposedly an alien spacecraft crashed there. Coincidence?
Well,
Yeah.
What are we saying?
Of course, 2 years after the death of Hitler, thereby completely revolutionizing global breast perception. Mary, what state are you from?
I'm from New Hampshire.
Oh, okay.
I don't know what the symbol is, but I can tell you the motto. I went down a state motto rabbit hole. But
yeah.
the motto in New Hampshire, which some people tape over because it's a little inflammatory, our motto is live free or die.
I've seen that.
Yeah. And you can apparently be arrested for taping over the motto on your license plate on your
But
car.
surely taping
Live
over it
free or
is living
die.
free. Surely that is
Would you,
doing
one
what you
would
want.
think.
Okay, so that's much more inflammatory than New Mexico's, where the state slogan is "Everybody is somebody in New Mexico." Much less controversial.
That's good.
Okay, Colorado, right? The state motto of Colorado is nothing without Providence. You'd think that would be Rhode Island's because Providence is the capital of Rhode Island. But Rhode Island, the state motto is simply hope. When I was studying chewing for a book called Gulp, and I was talking to this guy who was talking about what we do and we chew and reduce this material and then we form it into a bolus, which is the swallowable state. And I thought that should be the Rhode Island because it's so small. Rhode Island, the swallowable state.
That's really good.
Do you know what the official reptile of New Mexico is? Did you come across this, guys?
No.
It is.
Gila monster?
No, good guess. It is the leaping lesbian lizard.
Wow.
So, in
We
fact,
all know it.
most people would call it the New Mexico whiptail lizard, or you might even know it as Cnemidophorus neomexicanus.
Oh, yes. got
Oh,
it.
yeah, right, that one. Yeah.
But it's become a bit of an idol for the LGBTQ community because all members of the species are female and they reproduce asexually through parthenogenesis.
No way.
And so they've been known online as the leaping lesbian lizard. They inspired a Pokemon called Salazzle, and they're the name of an ultimate frisbee team in some college somewhere. But they're also the official reptile of New Mexico.
It's really random what states get what. Well, it's not random, but I mean, it turns out there's no restrictions on it. So California has a state slug.
The banana slug.
The banana slug.
Is
I know it.
Recently signed
Yeah,
into...
it's the team mascot for Santa Cruz.
Oh.
Or for yeah.
Are they the ones that
Why?
chew off each other's genitals during mating?
Oh, I don't know.
I think they are, but that's nothing to do with the slug, James. So
The students of Santa Cruz. You mean?
but there's just no restriction on it. So 20 states have a state soil.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oregon has a state seashell, the Oregon hairy triton. An official Oregon steak has been proposed. I'm not sure if it's been adopted. That is, of course, T-bone. And basically, there's just no restriction on what becomes a state symbol. So it's often, I would say, child-driven. You know, like
Are they?
it's school children might have a campaign. You know, we want the state muffin to be the blueberry
Yeah.
muffin. But that can lead to disaster because often you'll end up with this being proposed in a state legislature and a load of politicians saying, what is this shit about a state wasp? While a group of crestfallen 9-year-olds look on saying, well, it's a really great local wasp, but it's important, you know.
Yeah. They have there's state stars as well, as in outer space. So
What?
Delaware has one, which is called the Delaware Diamond. And it was given it despite the fact that it's not an official star, as in it's not recognized by an astronomical community with that name. It was a name that was given to it by, you can just buy a star on the International Star Registry.
yeah.
I've got one. It's called Schreiberland. Someone bought one and called it the Delaware Diamond, and that has become the state star.
Do you know Virginia has a state Shakespeare festival?
I was just
Okay.
sure.
It's the Virginia Shakespeare Festival.
Wow.
Apparently, there's a few different ones, and the people who ran this particular one, which is the oldest one in Virginia, they wanted to get some more kudos over the other Shakespeare festivals. So they said to some politician, "Can you make us the official one?" And they did.
So yeah, sometimes it feels like it's being done as exactly like
It's
that,
a
James.
marketing ploy. These are like marketing
Yeah.
ploys.
See, and
like all of the international Worcestershire sauce day and international, like anything you would find in
Yeah.
the world.
It can
There's
be-
an international day.
It can be positive.
Yeah.
I mean, if it's raising awareness of, if let's say the banana slug was endangered in some areas, it's a nice way for it's education and
Guys,
local bodies
guys,
Yeah?
hear me out. The official podcast of Wyoming. Come on.
Yes,
Let's get the campaign started.
that's
And
a
it's
great
us?
idea.
Yeah, why not?
Well,
We love Wyoming. I recently learned how to say it correctly, so
Yes. I forgot we are used in Wyoming to scare off bears.
Yeah.
So we've got messages, Mary, from people who, when they're doing hikes, they will play us out loud on speakers so that bears don't come because they hear chatter of various humans clustered together.
I mean, as we now know, you can just shove your arm down their throats, and that's actually just as good as listening to the podcast. But no, but sometimes they get rejected as well. So I think I read a great list of Minnesota's rejected state icons. State fossil is not the giant beaver. For some reason, that did not clear the legal threshold, despite a Minnesota paleontologist issuing this very moving speech where they said Minnesota has a deep connection to beavers. What does this mean? Mary, what's going on?
Can I leave you with the state motto of Michigan?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
If you seek a pleasant peninsula, look about you.
Oh.
You seek a pleasant
A
peninsula.
pleasant peninsula, look about you.
Look at
And
yourself.
here's another very vague Washington State. By and by. What does that mean?
By now.
Yeah.
But it's not B-U-Y. That
Okay.
could actually.
Oh, right.
Yeah, it's B-Y. By and by.
By and by.
by.
Well,
By and by.
Well, you bring up Michigan. They've got a state song as well, which is called My Michigan. And it's the official state song. However, they rarely get to perform it because the state failed to purchase the copyright from the song's authors. Therefore, they're not allowed to use it. But they've kept it as their song because the copyright will lapse at the end of 2028. So they're so close to now being able to use it in various different places. And then one other one is in California. There's an official state song, which is I Love You, California.
Nice.
And it has been used in a video game called Civilization 6 Gathering Storm. There's a moment where you're constructing the Golden Gate Bridge, which doesn't need to be in San Francisco, but you just build it in the game and it needs to act as a bridge. And as they're building it, it plays this song, and it also reads out lines from Percy Shelley's A Bridal Song, which has the golden gates of sleep unbar as the opening line. Now, what's a crazy thing about this, not super crazy, but a weird coincidence, is the music to this song, I Love You, California, was written by a man called Frankenstein. They've paired up Shelley with Frankenstein.
Brilliant.
Isn't that wild?
Wow.
I feel like you're the first person to make this connection, Dan. That's quite...
Yes.
That's recondite.
And I don't feel like it got the goosebump raising.
No, not a bit.
It's getting
No.
in my head, which kind of makes sense for why no one spotted that before.
Sorry, I think I zoned out there for a minute. Sorry.
Andy, your fact was about there being only one American state with official smell. There are other states with official smell, like national states, so countries. There was a thing called the World Sensorium, which was a project where they asked countries around the world to name their national smell.
Yeah.
Nearly a quarter of the world's population identified with the same smell. Some of these are like larger countries, that's why it's a quarter of the population. But there was 11 countries that officially cited a particular smell that
God,
no other
okay.
country did. Can you guess what it is?
It's Sauvage, isn't it? It's so... oh, no, Dior Pour Homme. Is that it?
It's not that. No.
Cinnamon, baking cookies.
Cinnamon's a good call in that it's
Cinnamon. Okay.
a naturally occurring thing. It was jasmine.
Oh.
So
Oh, okay, yeah. There may be a lot of agreement on nice smells, but there's a lot of disagreement on bad smells.
Oh.
What constitutes a bad smell? The U.S. military was trying to create a non-lethal weapon, something that would just clear a room, and they wanted it to be like internationally useful. So this woman, Pam Dalton, at the Monell Chemical Census Center, went around the world with vials containing vomit smell, sewage smell, and something called U.S. military latrine smell. And she presented these to different cultures and different countries. And she asked things like, would you consider this smell edible, wearable, pleasant? And, it was a whole list. And there were some people were like, yeah, vomit, that's wearable. I would wear that as perfume. In the end, they did a mix because they realized not only does it have to be off-putting, but something weird and unidentifiable, because that'll freak people out.
and what did they use that again for, Mary?
It would be in a grenade or something. You'd throw it into a room, and it was so vile that everyone would leave the room.
Yeah, like a
It
non-lethal
was
weapon.
a non-lethal weapon.
Do we know?
Yeah.
Do we know what they went with as a smell at the end?
Yeah, I smelled it, and it's pretty bad. It was heavy on the U.S. Army latrine smell. I spent time at this place, Hilltop Labs, where they do testing of deodorant type things like cat litter or underarm deodorant, things that are supposed to fight bad smells. So you want to be careful with their refrigerator because they have some horrible things in there. And I said, what is the worst? You guys, what's the worst smell that there is?
Oh, yeah.
And they said incubated saliva.
Oh,
Oh,
interesting.
Me.
Incubated saliva.
Incubated.
Yeah. rotten. Just leave it in some warm environment and let it fester.
Really?
Yeah, that was their vote.
Wow. So just going quickly back to this World Sensorium, do you know what the United Kingdom's official smell was?
It's going to be like a full English breakfast. The whole
Fish and
mixture
chips?
of a full English.
Yeah.
Good guess.
I'll say a nice conker.
No, it was incubated saliva. No, it wasn't. It was it was the smell of sea wind rolling through a land of grass.
Oh, nice.
That does actually sound quite nice. Do you have France there, James?
Not on my list. I can tell you that coffee was quite a lot of places, and Georgia, Germany, Moldova, and Uzbekistan chose the smell of grapes, which I don't think smell of anything.
No.
Oh, no, I do. I get grapes.
Really?
Yeah, I get grape smell. Yeah. Okay. Smells great. Okay, well, we need to wrap up.
On that joke.
That was a good one.
Unless you want to wrap up on the Frankenstein bit earlier. I don't know. Give me your options here, man. Okay, that is it. That is all of our facts. Thank you so much for listening. If you'd like to get in contact with any of us about the things that we've said over the course of this podcast, we're all online. I'm on @Schreiberland on Instagram. James?
My Instagram is no such thing as James Harkin.
Andy?
At Andrew Hunter M.
And Mary, you're on Instagram as well.
Yeah, author Mary Roach.
Yeah, and for everyone listening, Mary's new book is out now. Replaceable You, get it. But also, just like, we're talking to the best there is here. You know, Fuzz was incredible. Grunt, all about the military. At QI, you know, books like Packing from Mars and Bonk and all those Stiff. We used all of it. All of QI is basically just shredding Mary's book into
Well, you're
questions.
welcome.
For legal reasons, I want to say that we did lots of other work as well.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's true. But no, do get yourself the Mary Roach Library, because it's the best selection of nonfiction books that you can get.
Phenomenal.
So if you want to get through to us, by the way, podcast@qi.com is our email. Send all your best facts, because we pick those out and they go towards Little Fish, our Monday show. Or if you want to mention anything that you think should be brought up on our secret mailbag show called Drop Us a Line, which is part of Club Fish, which you'll find if you go to Patreon, and send that stuff there, because Andy picks out the best ones and we use them for both of those shows. So otherwise, just come back here next week. Big thank you as ever to our production team, Ling Lee and Ethan Ruparelia, as well as the rest of the Fish Busters. And that's it. In the words of the Washington State motto, bye and bye.